Good morning, 12 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, News Radio 710 Keel. And good morning, Dr. Goree. How are you today, sir?
Good morning. Very good. Happy holidays.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Lamar Goree, Superintendent of Caddo Parish Schools. There's a million questions to ask about this as massive an educational undertaking as this area has seen in a while. But I'm thinking if you just tell us the plan, that'll probably answer a lot of our questions. So what's the plan?
Well, I tell you, I can think of 108 million reasons why we should be excited about this wonderful opportunity to reinvest in Caddo Parish schools. This is an opportunity for us to issue $108 million in bonds, and it's actually a reallocation of the 1 mil of the 6 mil current tax that we have in place in the parish. So one thing that was very important to staff as we began to look at this opportunity was for us to not increase or not ask our citizens to have to pay more money in. What we then did was we went to our principals and we looked at it. Since we have this opportunity where we're either going to ask the citizens to let the millage remain the same or reduce the millage, we went to our schools to see what are some of the educational needs that we have. We then took those needs to staff, reviewed and looked over all those needs, formed a group of citizens to look at those, all the time having conversations with our board. And we really do believe that we have put together a plan that meets the needs of everyone.
So the the basics of the plan is, and let's start from the construction phase, to get rid of 6 area schools and build 3 new ones. Tell us about that and how that plan came together.
So excited. As I go through the city, one thing I hear over and over and over again is that we need to right-size our school district. And I agree with that because we see that our statistics show that we've seen some 10% drop in population since 2000. However, Caddo has actually closed or repurposed 13 schools, which is at a 17% rate. But we still believe that we have additional schools that we need to close and right-size. Now, what I want the community to understand that right-sizing is more than just saying we're going to close schools. It's providing students with better educational opportunities. In that respect, we looked at what are some of our undersized schools that are older that are costing us a lot of money. For example, in the Central Zone, we're looking at, in the Central Shreveport, we looked at Barrett, Crestwell, and Stoner Hill. All 3 very small schools, the 3 schools together having over $18 million in costs that we would need to do just to make them compliantly appropriate buildings. So why not close those 3 schools but build back a state-of-the-art school with all of the modern amenities so that those students receive a quality education? A big driving force was the population shift. Worked very closely with local demographer Dr. Joyner, and we looked at where are the populations. We looked at Southeast Shreveport, and that's an age-old question. I think no one argues that the population is out there. That's the part of our city where we see the highest reliance on either magnet program and our private schools. We believe a quality neighborhood school would give those parents yet another phenomenal option. We looked at Blanchard. In Blanchard, you have a very small, very old school that currently it cannot hold the students that live in that community. The growth up there and potential growth that's projected is huge. So we wanted to make sure that we're prepared to address those needs by building a new school in that community as well.
Dr. Goree, let me ask you this. When you use the word reallocation, that's a scary word for us because that means you're taking the money from somewhere else for this purpose. Where's the money? Where was the money that the voters approved originally? What was it intended for, and why do we not need it there anymore?
The money was originally used to pay off bonds, past bonds that were issued in previous years. And because we're paying those off, we're at a point now where we can either hold on to that millage or we can reduce the millage.
A lot of people would say, roll it back. We have high enough taxes already.
And it's a choice. I mean, it's a choice. It's a choice. We roll it back and accept the current quality of education that we have in Caddo Parish, or we take advantage of this opportunity to really improve. If you look across the nation, you just don't find many places that have not built a school since 1989, even in shrinking populations. There are ways that you reallocate and you reinvent yourselves. I'm coming from a school district in Texas where all of our schools were fairly new, fast growth. Mansfield, Texas, very fast growth. Oldest high school built in 2000. One thing that I was very underwhelmed with in Caddo when I returned home was the quality of our science labs. And I think if you look at the science labs, and my dad taught science for 38 years at Huntington, and when I walked in his science lab on my first opportunity to go back there, which is my alma mater, it looks the exact same as it did in 1989.
Dr. Goree, can you hang on? We got to take a break, but we're going to do another segment if you got time.
I would love to.
You bet.
Caddo Parish School Superintendent Dr. Lamar Goree back in just a couple of seconds. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. KEEL News Radio time is 8:17. McCarty News Radio 710. KEEL back for another segment. Pleased to have joining us this morning Caddo Parish School Superintendent Dr. Lamar Goree. Big plans on the drawing board.
Dr. Goree, a lot of people think that they're going to pay higher taxes. You need to clarify that clearly for us.
Right. What I will say about the taxes, and first off, I think that I agree. I will agree that we could choose to say we're going to roll the millage back, and that would provide, I think, when we do our numbers, and don't quote me on this, but about a $13 reduction on the average home size in our community. That's annually. But when we talk about what we're doing here, we are trying to. What we're going to do is based on the needs, we're going to capture this money without increasing the millage. So families can look to pay the same school tax rate that you've paid in the past.
Other bond proposals are up for renewal later in the year. Could you look at rolling those back? Is that something you're hopeful will happen? Because Caddo Parish residents pay a pretty high property tax rate.
Right, and I do think, that if you look at some of the statistics, and I know some of these things were released in our PowerPoint presentation that we released to the media, there are some other taxes that we have that are much lower, like if you look at some of our sales taxes than other school districts. But we will, in this situation and in all situations, consider what's the best for our community, what's the best for our students, and what's the best for the school district whenever we look at any tax renewal. So I don't want the community to think that we will always just say we're going to not roll back taxes at some point.
Dr.
And
Goree,
I do think if you look at 2012, Caddo Parish did take the option of rolling the tax back versus doing some of these projects that must be done if we're going to call ourselves a competitive education system.
Dr. Goree, the plan to knock down 6 schools and build 3 new ones, and the majority of that is in Shreveport. Have you spoken with Mayor-elect Tyler about that? Is she on board with the plan? What's the level of communication between you two right now?
I have not. I've certainly had conversations with Ms. Tyler since she's been become our mayor-elect. We have not talked specifically in detail about the plans for me to say that she supports it, but I do know she appreciates the value of a quality education system on attracting new businesses to this area. Businesses are not going to come here if we're not providing a quality education, and that's our goal with this plan. That's why we're calling it Reinvest in Caddo. I want to see the Caddo Parish school system support businesses and growth in our community.
Can you tell us where the new schools would be built, or do we have that outlined yet?
Now, I know when you say where, are you talking specific locations?
Yes, specific locations.
No, we have not gotten that far down the road yet. As you know, the district does own property in southeast Shreveport, not committed to building on that site, but we do own property there. When we look at the central Shreveport area, we do believe the school board sent a very clear message when we chose to keep the Hamilton Terrace property that was a property that would be considered in any resizing of the district or future use for the district. And, staff has looked at that site as a possible site for a new quality historic looking new elementary school in that area. And, of course, in the Blanchard area, there is so much growth. We would want to build that school in that area probably near where that growth is, because we are definitely interested in creating options to our magnet and to our private schools by creating really strong, vibrant neighborhood schools.
News Radio 710 KEEL, Caddo Parish School Superintendent Dr. Lamar Goree. Big undertaking. How long has this plan been in the works? How long before you presented it to anybody was it sort of rolling around in your head? And in a perfect world, when would it all be done, and when would everything be the way you want it?
One thing I'll add to that is, as you know, we're in the season of strategic planning, and we look for our district's strategic plan to be complete by the late spring. Now, in a perfect world, we would have this conversation a year from now, because the strategic plan would drive our decisions. However, based on the opportunity, based on the millage, and when that expires, we had to start that conversation over the summer. So over the summer, you saw staff talking about what would be our possible options, and a lot of these things were based on as the leader, on my assessment as I've come in and had an opportunity to travel the district and really look at quality of programs and things that are making us successful and things that are not. We then formed a committee of I don't want to call it a bund committee, because it was more of a community committee, because we wanted to make sure at every step of the way we gave the community an opportunity to be involved. From there, we've had several conversations with board members as we've come along the way to make sure that we were answering those questions. And I'll tell you, we engaged some of our, many citizens, some that we knew we could get support from, and some that we knew it would be challenging, because we wanted to make sure, though, that we addressed all concerns as we built this plan.
Dr. Lamar Goree, when does it go to the board, and then when could it go to the public?
It will, at our work session in January, first Tuesday in January, we will do a presentation to the board. The board will vote on if we even go to the voters on the third Tuesday in January. If it's approved to go to the board, it will be on a May ballot, and if approved by our citizens, we could start the process of reinvesting in Caddo as early as the fall.
Can you conceive a situation where in Caddo Parish there was construction on 3 brand new schools going on all at the same time?
Absolutely not. This will be a bond. The bonds will be issued over time. In our current city service provider situation, we don't have enough contractors to do that all at one time. So I would think that it would be done over time.
Could you prioritize
3 to 5 year time?
The 3 new schools you want to build? Can you prioritize them for us now?
We have not done that yet, so I would not feel comfortable doing that. We would certainly look at that from a multifaceted perspective to determine where would the school district, what would be the best order for the school district to build those schools.
Dr. Lamar Goree, can't thank you enough for your time, sir. We appreciate it.
Anytime. I'm always available.
Thank you again. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Always great to have you.
And again, on behalf of Caddo Schools, the same to you and your listeners.
Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, KEEL News Radio. Time is 8:28.